going on, Dragon Ball fans? Welcome back to another episode of this week's Dragon Ball Q&A video, where today we have lots of awesome questions to go through, courtesy of your questions having to be posted down below. And before I begin, I do want to let you guys know that each individual question posted onto this video is going to be directly reflected onto you guys, as I would like to know your answers as to each question posted down the comment section below. And of course, if you guys have any questions to ask me of your own, it pertains to Dragon Ball, make sure to go on ahead and drop your questions down the comment section below. And again, if you guys are new to this channel, don't forget to go on ahead and punch that subscribe button and enable all notifications. That way you guys can be notified whenever a Dragon Ball video is posted onto this channel, in conjunction to news, information, updates, and discussions. Hashtag notification squad. As we kick things off with the first question of the day, which comes from Mitchell. Hey Unreal, I've been watching your videos now for quite a while, and I wanted to say keep up the great work. Thank you. Your videos haven't been showing up on my notifications homepage for a few weeks. YouTube issues, go figure. But I still check regularly to see if you uploaded anything, but here are my questions and I hope you can answer these if you see them. Well, I gotta say thank you so much for keeping up with the channel, and of course, if you guys happen to miss out on an upload, make sure you guys go on ahead and recheck the channel each and every single day for brand new content. Question number one, how do you feel about Jiren being able to touch Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku in their final battle, and do you think it should have been dragged out for at least one more episode? Question two, did you like seeing Android 17 return after surviving the explosion, or do you feel like he should have stayed dead? Question three, what do you think about the upcoming Dragon Ball Super movie? Well, thank you so much for your questions, Mitchell, and again, I encourage you guys to also respond to this in the comment section below. To answer your first question, for me personally, this is very subjective, but yes, I do think that the battle between Goku and Jiren should have at least extended into one more episode, because their first battle, when Goku used Ultra Instinct Omen, was incredibly fun to watch, and then when we saw Goku fight Jiren under Mastered Ultra Instinct, again, it was very fun to watch. The only thing I disagreed with, as you just said, was seeing Jiren be able to touch Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku. Wasn't it pointed out by Whis that essentially Goku can resist and avoid any kind of damage or harm being placed upon him if he were to master such an ability? The concept of Ultra Instinct is so well executed, I think, in terms of the power being built up ever since Resurrection of F, because when we first saw Goku train with Vegeta, it was alluded since day one that there was a power that not even a Hakaishin such as Beerus was able to achieve, that being Mastered UI, and then finally we get to see the reveal of Mastered Ultra Instinct in the Tournament of Power, and it was very cool to see, and I accepted seeing Jiren being relative to Ultra Instinct Omen, which was the incompleted form, but I could not for the life of me accept the idea that without bearing even any God Ki for himself, that Jiren at full power was able to rival the power in which not even the Hakaishin can master themselves, which goes to show how powerful Jiren is, and he is exceptionally very strong, because we saw the pure level of damage that he was able to do against Goku. Do I think personally he should have been able to touch Goku? No, because Goku at that point should have been able to completely mollywop him even if Jiren was at full power. Did I like the concept of Jiren finally taking things serious? Absolutely. Even towards the finale, it was a shock to see Frieza and 17 still stand against Jiren during that point, but I think in my personal subjective opinion, Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku should have easily one-shotted Jiren without putting up a struggle. If anything, at least have Jiren try, but don't let him touch Mastered UI, because that just goes to show even further that there is a mortal out there who does not require Migate no Gokui, who is still able to keep up with the power and being able to touch it. So then you have to ask yourself, well, okay, what's the point of Mastered Ultra Instinct, or even Ultra Instinct at all, if there is a being out there who does not possess such a quality or trait that can be able to rival it in terms of feats? You get what I'm saying? So in terms of the overall quality of the fight, yes, I would have loved to see Goku fight Jiren, just as Goku had fought Frieza, Cell, Majin Buu, and Dragon Ball Z, and having that be extended, but since Super came to an end and they pretty much had to wrap everything up, did I accept the overall end result? Of course, but I think that they could have done things a bit differently in seeing Mastered UI completely beat Jiren. If that, then why even introduce the concept of Mastered Master UI if it ultimately burnt out in its fight against Jiren in making Goku feel less important than how he originally was. So for me, I would have loved to see this be dragged on a bit, but of course, that is only my subjective opinion. Now, to answer your second question, did I like seeing 17 return? Yes. Do I think that it was a complete ass pull? Hell yeah, because why is it that Vegeta was able to emit such power in executing his final explosion but surviving due to his body adapting, but then all of a sudden 17 does the exact same thing? He self-destructs, but then at the same time he comes back, proving to everybody how hard it is for 17 to die. But at the same time, it's like, okay, why even allude to the idea that he killed himself to begin with? What about the Grand Priest? What about, you know, the gods, the angels? You're telling me that nobody was able to sense or even feel out 17's presence in the tournament the entire time after he committed the final explosion? You know what I'm saying? He sacrificed himself, quote unquote, for what? It was all in vain. So I think that he should have stayed dead if that was the concept, but instead of seeing Frieza, Goku, and 17 in the end, I would have preferred to see Frieza, Goku, and Vegeta, because how awesome would it have been to see Vegeta team up with Frieza to hold off Jiren momentarily for Goku to catch wind in bouncing back in his fight against Jiren. So I think that they should have replaced 17 with Vegeta, but that's just my personal opinion. So to answer your final question, what do I think about the upcoming movie? I cannot wait for this upcoming movie, and in case you guys have missed out my previous discussions and analysis breakdowns on the upcoming film, you guys can find the official playlist down in the description box. But for one, I cannot wait because this is going to be the first time that Yamamuro isn't involved in directly influencing the art and the animation behind this movie or behind Dragon Ball at all. Now, I'm not too familiar with what Yamamuro was doing to young animators or his influence on Dragon Ball as a whole, but he has a bad reputation in pretty much bullying, or at least trying to call the shots more or less at Toei in dictating the production and dictating the animation and whatnot. So for that, a lot of people were actually very happy that Yamamuro isn't really involved. Now, a lot of people, including myself, have been so accustomed to Shida and Takahashi's artwork and animation and the way they have like their own influence and style upon Dragon Ball, that so many other people are looking at this Dragon Ball Super movie and they're rejecting it because it's not Takahashi's style, it's not Shida's style, it's more or less somebody else. And for me personally, after looking at the animation for this film and the artwork, it reminds me so much of like the classic Digimon movies, like the classic Pokemon movies, like the classic Dragon Ball movies, that I'm willing to accept it because I cannot wait to see the outcome of this film. And of course, we are going to be doing lots of coverage and breakdowns for this film as it arrives, but I personally think that this film has more to offer. It's just a matter of buying time and seeing what kind of direction they take. But if you guys are not stoked for this film, then something is seriously wrong with you, because this film, if anything, is bound to be revolutionary in its idea and approach of introducing Goku having to fight this new person and explaining said story on what they're gonna do following Dragon Ball Super. So for me, I think that this film is gonna be good. I cannot wait to see its development as we go on by. So as we approach December, Christmas is gonna come at least 11 days early in seeing this film, and I really cannot wait to see what this movie is gonna be about in its entirety when it's released. So either way, Mr. Mitchell, thank you so much for your questions, and I hope you have a fantastic day, my friend. And now moving on to the next question, which is from Joseph Shoddy. Hey Alex, love your channel. Much love from Bosnia. Here are my questions. Thank you, man. Much love from the States, bro. Question number one, what if Goku Black and Zamasu were in the Tournament of Power? Would they go far together or would they lose? Question two, how do you feel about Frieza not being involved against Jiren or any of the other fighters as much as you'd liked? Question three, do you think we will ever see any other character achieve Ultra Instinct, Alex? Thanks. Well, thank you so much, my friend. To answer your first question, I honestly believe, if you think about this, if Goku Black and Zamasu were in the Tournament of Power, those two, in terms of synchronization, in terms of symmetry, those two would have been dangerous. Zamasu and Goku Black worked so well together, and we even get to see that in the dub. We saw that in the sub. They worked so well that their symmetry was very dangerous. And unlike the androids, unlike Gohan and Piccolo, Goku and Vegeta, the Pride Troopers, Zamasu and Goku Black are one and the same. So the way they function is pretty much identical. So I think that yes, they would have done lots of damage. However, if Goku Black and Zamasu were to encounter Hit, if they were to encounter Kefla, if they were to encounter Jiren, Hakai Topo, Supersonic Speed Dispo, if they were to encounter Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 20 Goku, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Evolution Vegeta, any of these fighters, those two would have been in trouble. However, it also would be very interesting to note that if they were to fuse as Fuse Zamasu, then only then could I see them having a real threat in this tournament, because having to remove their immortality factor, they would still be a threat. And I feel like Merge Zamasu in this tournament would be one of those guys where you really have to pay attention on and have to take him down quick, because I think only then could you understand the level of destruction that Merge Zamasu can cause. However, how awesome would it be if we did have a chance to see Merge Zamasu versus Kefla, Merge Zamasu versus Ani Laza, Merge Zamasu versus Hakai Topo, Merge Zamasu versus, you know, Golden Frieza for that matter. It would have been amazing to see that, because then Merge Zamasu's sense of mortality and justice and seeing his corrupt vision come about would really be conflicted in the idea that he's fighting against essentially 70 other mortals, including his own teammates, which I'm pretty sure if Goku Black and Zamasu were around, they probably wouldn't even like their own teammates to begin with, because they only stick together as a duo, and that's what they do. So I think that yes, they would go far, but they would ultimately lose despite having to fuse, because we saw Ultra Instinct Goku, because we saw Jiren at full power, and I think that those characters alone would be enough to smash them. So would they go far? Absolutely. But would they lose? Hell yeah. Now, to answer your second question, Frieza not being involved as much. Now, yes, to me that is a problem, because we saw Frieza introduced from the beginning, and they could have done more with Frieza, even though they kept him more or less as a background character and being the character that you know is looming in the distance, but you don't really have an idea as to what his intentions are. I think that, yeah, when it comes to capitalizing on his lore and his eeriness in the tournament, it was definitely there. However, his involvement was kind of iffy, because we saw what he did in the manga. We saw how effective he's being used in the manga, and it's very sad how in the anime, we saw bits and pieces of Frieza having to fodder a couple of people here and there, beating up Jamies, beating up some of the Universe 9 warriors, the Universe 2 warriors. It was more or less like fodder, but I would have definitely have preferred to see Golden Frieza more involved against fighters like Hit, fighters like, you know, Kaba, Kale, Khalifa, having to fight all three of them. It would have been awesome to see, and I really do enjoy how he more or less conserved his stamina, but in the end, his stamina didn't really pay off, because he was just as tired as 17, just as tired as Goku, just as tired as anybody else, and this is a guy who was, you know, pretty much prominently featured in the background, and as soon as he got a chance to fight anybody else, he got fodder in a few fights, and that was pretty much it. He was back down on the same level as everybody else was when it came down to fatigue and being able to be exhausted. So I think that Frieza should have been showcased more, and I'm really hoping that as the months go on by, we see more of Frieza in the manga being pretty much utilized to his max as opposed to what we saw in the anime. But of course, again, that's just my subjective opinion. I would have preferred to see Frieza involved more, but we're gonna have to wait and see what he does in the manga. So now, to answer your third question, do I see any other character ever achieving Ultra Instinct? No. The only other character I would have to say that would potentially be close in reaching Ultra Instinct would be Vegeta. And I think that Vegeta definitely deserves it, because Vegeta, for that matter, is a character who also busts his ass just as much as Goku, but the only downside to Vegeta is he isn't being recognized as much as Goku has in Dragon Ball Super, even though in the beginning it seemed like he was. Eventually, as the TOP came around, Goku superseded Vegeta so much that it's kind of like unbearable to even watch anymore, to see how Vegeta has come so far only to fall short. So the only other person I would give UI to would be Vegeta, and we did a video on this, what if Vegeta achieved UI in the Tournament of Power, which I highly encourage you guys to go ahead and check out, and it would have been dope to see that. However, is there potential for him to do so in the future? Absolutely, but I think that as we get there, we're gonna have to wait and see what they do, because at this point, anything is possible, and I really wouldn't rule it out too much. But if Vegeta were to achieve Ultra Instinct, that would be one for the history books without a shadow of a doubt. So anyways, my friend, thank you so much for your questions, and I hope you have a fantastic day, bro. And now moving on to the next question, which is from Faisel. Unreal, your Q&A videos keep me from falling asleep at my security job. Thank you, man. Thanks for always being a cool dude and an awesome Dragon Ball public figure and source. But yo, here are my questions for you to answer. Thank you so very much for that. I really do appreciate that. I never would have thought that I would be any sort of public figure in this community, but I'm very happy that I could be a positive influence to many people and a good source, a better source than how I was back in 2013 in delivering all the most accurate info and the best information that I can provide, as well as content as well. So thank you so much for that. Question 1, do you like the Tournament of Power manga more than the anime, or the anime more than the manga? Question 2, what do you think about the name Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Evolution Vegeta? Question 3, do you think God Toppo should have gotten more shine, or was he just straight ass to begin with? Question 4, do you think Jiren was rushed? Now, to answer your first question, do I like the Tournament of Power manga more than the anime? So far, I do, at least for its early beginning stage. And what I mean by that is the beginning of the Tournament of Power didn't really feel all that important, or did it come off as like this big fight feel? Maybe right before the bell rang, then yeah, but as we saw everybody fight, it just didn't feel that important to me, as opposed to what we're seeing in the manga with all the developments from the universes and everyone fighting each other. So it just seems that much more intense in the manga than in the anime. But I would say the middle and the end of the Tournament of Power might be up for the manga to decide once it's released, because I can't really say for sure that I like the TOP manga more than the anime, because let's be honest, the manga is still continuing, so it's kind of hard to say for sure. But I definitely think that the Tournament of Power manga in the beginning is a lot better than the beginning of the Tournament of Power when it comes down to the anime. Now, to answer your second question, what do I think of Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Evolution Vegeta? I think it's complete dog shit. I think that the name sounds very dumb. I'm still gonna stick with Ultra Blue Vegeta, just because Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Evolution Vegeta just sounds like some crusty name that some, you know, half-assed employee came up with and saying, oh, I have an idea. Why don't we just call it the same thing except include evolution at the end? It's just dumb. They could have came up with a better name in trying to come up with the concept of what Vegeta's evolution was, but somebody at Toei just said to themselves, you know what, why don't we just regurgitate something really dumb and just add, you know, evolution at the end of it, and that's it. So to me, it just sounds really dumb. And do I think it's stupid? Absolutely. They could have done a better job, but I just personally feel like they could have just executed a better name than calling him Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Evolution Vegeta. It's dumb in my opinion. So to answer your third question, God Toppo could have gotten more shine, and he should have, but at the end, like, despite what he did, all he was pretty much doing as he achieved the God form was Hakkaiing a bunch of rocks. Like, that's just complete fodder to me. Seeing this man just Hakkai rocks and nothing more in his attempts of defeating 17 and Frieza was super underwhelming. Now, my friend Scale at Discord, he loved Toppo so much, and I don't know, to me, Toppo could have done a lot more, and he could have really been a force of nature after transforming, but as he transformed and he displayed his powers, he was ass. He was just straight up ass to begin with. I think that they could have done a better job, but they utilized that very poorly in the idea that they executed him in such an underwhelming way to where he didn't feel important after a certain time. So yeah, I think in my opinion, he was definitely ass after a certain while. Now, to answer your fourth question, do I think Jiren felt rushed? I think he did, because his development was very different as we went on in the tournament. Now, in the beginning, he was cool, calm, collected. We didn't really know much about him. And then as the tournament continued, all of a sudden, his backstory is revealed, he begins to talk more, he begins to display more emotion, and that's not really a bad thing to say for sure, but I just felt like the Jiren that we saw during the TOP in the beginning was much different than the Jiren that we saw during the middle and the end of the Tournament of Power. Now, I think that in terms of his development, yes, he did feel rushed. Could they have done more with him? I do believe they could have, but at the same time, you have to ask yourself, like, okay, what could they have done with Jiren that could have been different, but yet unique at the exact same time? You get what I'm saying? It's hard for me to really pinpoint that, because in the beginning, he just seemed like a real force of nature, but then after a while, we saw, you know, the flaws in his offense and his defense as Goku was beating him around while under Mastered UI, until of course he used his full power and then he turned the tides on Goku. So, I don't know, I mean, I just feel like they definitely introduced his backstory a little too late, and they could have established him a little better in the beginning, but I really didn't mind the cool, calm, collected Jiren in the beginning, because he felt like more of a lone wolf, like someone that you didn't want to mess with, sort of like Hit. But after he spoke, I was like, all right, well, it's up for the audience to decide ultimately, but yes, I definitely think that he was rushed. So either way, my friend, I do want to say thank you so much for your questions, and I hope you have a fantastic day. And once again, guys, I do want to say thank you all so very much for watching this edition of Dragon Ball Q&A. If you guys have any Dragon Ball questions to ask me, go on ahead and submit your Dragon Ball questions in the comment section down below. If you guys are not following me on Twitter, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, all that good jazz. I will leave links to everything down in the description box for you guys to go on ahead and check me out and follow me on those social media platforms. As of course, if you guys are new to this channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, turn on all notifications, that way you guys can be notified whenever a brand new video is posted. Do check back regularly, as I stated before, because YouTube has this ongoing thing where it tends not to notify people of new videos, so make sure you guys are in tune with the content and being able to be subscribed. And of course, follow me on my social media platforms to be up to date whenever I post a new video. Thank you all so much for watching, guys. Once again, tune back in for more. Check out my second and third channels, Unreal Network and Unreal Vlogs. I will leave links to those down below, and I'll be seeing you all down in the comment section, guys. Cue my outro, bitch.